To say it shortly, Mario Party 7 definitely feels like Mario Party 6.5, according to a lot of people, it seems. Although I will say, this is enough to stand out as its own Mario Party if you ask me. I would say that it's probably a bit weaker than Mario Party 6 because, well, for one, it has weaker boards, and two, actually significantly weaker minigames, I'm not even gonna lie. The overall average for all 85 minigames here was a lot weaker than even Mario Party 6. I'll reveal at the end of this ranking video. And yeah, if you guessed it correctly, yep, I am ranking every single minigame in Mario Party 7, with a few exceptions. Those being the rare minigames of Ice Moves and Stick and Spin, and also the boss minigame of Bowser's Lovely Lift. Yeah, you'll already see those once this video comes out. Yeah, I'm filming this before I've recorded the footage for those. And yeah, this is just a simple way of saying that this is definitely going to be a longer video because, well, there's a decent amount more to explain here, although there's a lot more simplistic minigames here on this case, which is a good and bad thing because it means I'm going to have less fun doing this, but also just that this is definitely going to take longer and feel a bit more thorough than Mario Party 7. Oh, no, I mean Mario Party 6, I mean. Sorry about that there. Anyways, yeah, let's just not waste any more time and get these 85 minigames on this massive ranking of Final Grand Start. Let's do this. Number 85, Mario Party 7 definitely had a slightly better worst minigame. I'll say that shortly, because the luck-based duel minigame, well, I said one, it was definitely better than the two in Mario Party 6. However, we still have a luck-based battle minigame, so yep, by default, Deckhands is the worst minigame in Mario Party 7. And it's honestly not even close here. It's just a luck-based minigame that is a battle minigame. What else do you expect from this? What do you expect at this point, I mean? Well, you're just picking cards and just hoping that you get the most points after 3 rounds. The worst part is not just the luck alone, it's just the fact that this minigame can take 2 minutes at the maximum. No, minimum, actually. It just makes this minigame a gigantic drag, and just one that's just gonna make everyone feel like they just want this to just finish at that point. Because it just goes on for so long to the point it just becomes boring. Number 84, Cointagious. It is literally just hitting dice blocks to just hope you get enough coins. Like, just getting a lot of coins, that's all it is. That's literally the whole minigame for 15 whole seconds. Boring, boring, boring. Number 83, Slaughter World. Where do I even start on this minigame? It's literally just luck combined with just breaking the hell out of the minigame. Because if you already saw the review for this minigame, you know that it's really easy to break this minigame and just win almost every time. By mashing the A button at God speed, it's just almost guaranteeing you to win the whole thing with very little failure. Just an absolute devastating way for a minigame to work. And not to let you know that these Bowser solo minigames, they already suck on their own. And this is just the worst of them all because of this alone. Number 82, Lightspeed. Just like Slaughter World, but this time it's in the duel category. Because you and your opponent are both going on and just moving around a tile board of 36 tiles, trying to fill it in with your color. The problem is that this minigame is completely broken. With the teleporters, they make this minigame a lot more broken than it even has to be, because you can easily follow your opponent this way, and the controls are absolutely garbage on top of that. It just makes this minigame completely unplayable. I do think that this and Slaughter World are better than the previous two before Slaughter World. However, I respect those two far less. Number 81, Flash Fright. One of the most broken minigames out there. Actually, one of the most poorly executed minigames in general. The 1 vs 3 category is very notable for this, but this is especially bad because there is one way to break it on each side. For the single player, they could just move around and just win every time. I'm not even joking. I've had that for all 3 rounds of the recording, and the single player won every single time. For the team of 3, one person could just circle around the bridge the whole time, which on both ends is complete and utter bullshit. It just makes this minigame feel so rigged on both sides for no reason, pretty much, because this was not the intention here at all. and it just makes the minigame even more sour than it already has to be. Number 80, Peel Out. I don't think you expected a DK minigame to be this low. However, luck-based really gets you this low, to let you know. And not just that this minigame is super quick, like a 10-second long minigame, maybe even less. That's actually embarrassing, and you're just choosing between one of two paths. It can't be any more simplistic than that, an absolutely soulless experience of a minigame. Number 79, Warp Pipe Dreams. What did I just say? Luck base gets you this low. This is especially bad since you're literally just going through pipes the whole way through and you just don't know where you are most of the time. It just becomes a super annoying minigame in general, especially just since the computer players just somehow know where they're going most of the time, unlike me. It just makes the minigame just so much more bad than it even has to be. And this was a part of Dungeon Duos. However, here to this extent, it's the whole minigame unlike Dungeon Duos. And it just turns the minigame just into a gigantic, annoying piece of slop. Number 78, Bumper to Bumper. It's just bumper balls, but a million times worse. Because here, it's 8 players, and also, because the physics are just broken, like completely broken here, especially with the platform tilting. It's trying to be bumper balls, but it fails completely because of the tilting platform and just the absolutely broken physics in general. It just kind of turns into look if you win or not. And just a problem that the Mario Party franchise would not just do once, but twice in the Top 100's version of bumper balls. Just stupid. Number 77, Balloon Busters. Starting off the 2-star category is our first of the mic minigames. Deja vu here? Anyways, this minigame is luck again, partially. Well, one player just tries to blow up the balloon. They keep going, and you have to blow it up as many as 5 times. You could choose to stop if you want to at some point. This minigame on its own could have been alright. The problem is just that the 3 closest players to the balloon, including the one that is blowing it, end up getting out if the balloon pops. That is actually a big problem in this minigame, which got fixed in the Top 100 version. It's just like one person gets out each time. But here, it's 3 at once, and it just turns into luck for those 2 players who are just on the platform, which is just not fair at all, and it almost costs this minigame its ranking. Number 76, Boxing Day. This minigame has verbal assault syndrome. What I mean by that is that the single player is almost guaranteed to win despite how underpowered their moves are. And yeah, it just feels so unfortunate because the single player's moves are just so slow, but the team of 3 is just not fast enough to dodge the attacks. The attacks just feel so overpowered in the stupidest way possible here, especially the rotate option. Like, the left and right punches, they go way too far, and it just turns this minigame into just a complete unbalanced wreck. It's a bit of a better example than verbal assault, but by the smallest of margins. Number 75, Wheel of Woe. Wow, I'm saying this right now, 3 mic minigames in a row. That is actually pretty unfortunate. And unlike the other one, this one is skewed against the one instead of in their favor. And I'm telling you, like, you could go batshit insane with the attacks, but none of them really work well at all. The bullet bills, they can easily be stomped on, the chain chomps, they're easy to avoid, and the shy guy does almost nothing. The only way for them to really get out is if they're a dumbass and they just fall off the wheel or through the holes, which is just not even easy to do in the first place. They're easy to dodge. Just completely stupid, and a great reason why these mic minigames are scrapped to this Mario Party. Number 74, Coin Op Bop. Once again, another skewed in the single player's favor. Here, this time, it's just pretty much a coin minigame. Well, for the single player, they have 5 buttons that they have to hit in the sequence to get 3 coins each time. And yeah, you can expect it's really, really easy for them to do a good combo. For the team of 3, one of them can mess up and they go really slow. And it's just 1 at a time for each player, and it just shows up pretty slowly. It just shows in every single favor's way to make the single player get as much coins as possible. A great example of the unbalancedness of 1 versus 3 minigames. Number 73, La Bamba. And this time, it's another 1 versus 3 minigame, but skewed against the one. Again. Here, the single player is just trying to hit as many bomb-up containers as they can, while the team of 3 is trying to avoid them, along with spikes. The problem is that the bomb-obs, they end up, like, they just stop moving once they turn red, which makes it really easy for whoever is getting chased to escape the wrath of the bomb mobs, which is just really skewed in their favor, and just makes this minigame very unfair in general. At least it isn't broken, and it's not completely impossible for the single player, but it's just really skewed against them. Just really, really cliche of these 1v3 minigames. Number 72, Jumpman, is laughably easy. And yeah, it's just pretty much just you jumping over barrels. It gets slightly harder on each of the levels. However, with the fact that the pattern never changes at all, it just turns into a laughably easy minigame in general, which just feels really sad to say at all. Like, I could win on pretty much almost every attempt. Actually, no, I don't think I've lost this minigame at all. It's that easy, which is just really sad for the DK minigames here. Number 71, Bumper Crop. It is literally a great example of social Darwinism, if I'm being honest here. A 2 versus 2 minigame that heavily relies on a luck element. Ever heard of treasure trawlers? Yeah, the minigame where you're just trying to collect treasure chests, however the luck element is that you don't know what you're gonna get. Yeah, this is literally the same thing, but somehow worse. Like, I'm telling you, I win almost none of the attempts because of this element alone. Because you could just be trying to grab the vegetables that you need, and you somehow just get screwed over by the luck. Like, what minigame has you follow the instructions and get screwed over? Alright, a Mario Party minigame. Who could have guessed? You know this is the second time I've said this, right? Number 70, Winging It. It's a button masher. Next! Number 69, Math Mortician. If you ask me advice on how to play this minigame, I would just say this. Never play with a controller! That's all I'll say. Because this minigame is absolute hell to play with one. Because you have to get very lucky on the combination here for stuff that is close to reach, in the middle and on the very bottom left. That's all I'll say on this minigame. And especially since this minigame is a gigantic drag, because it takes 2 minutes at the minimum, it just turns into a boring slog that could be absolute hell to play when it's your turn. That's all I'll say on this minigame. Number 68, Tunnel of Lava, and number 67, Treasure Dome. These 2 minigames are both the exact same in terms of quality. You're literally doing the same thing here. On Treasure Dome, you're just trying to make sure that you just go through keys and just hope that you end up getting the key in the end. The final key through 5 treasure chests. And Tunnel of Lava is just pretty much just you trying to hit Mega Koopas and hope you get the one that is the key. You can get screwed over by the RNG in this minigame, which is actually stupid. And to let you know, the Bowser solo minigames are over after this, which probably makes this the worst minigame category of any Mario Party, to be clear here. Number 66, Bubble Brawl, a flat-out boring fighting minigame, morally survival. You and the other 3 players are just punching each other in a bubble, and just hoping that you don't get punched out of it. This minigame can last 5 to 10 seconds pretty much every time, with no twist on it at all. Just punching each other, and just hope that you end up coming out on top. Just flat out boring. Number 65, Dart Attack. Another great example of a free-for-all mic minigame that didn't even need to be one. Because you're just trying to hit darts. No, you're trying to hit the targets that have with darts. The targets are just different point totals, 10, 20, 30, and 50, and then a 0 for if you miss all 4 of them. It's just a great example of a minigame that just drags on for way too long than it even needs to. And also, how in the actual did this one get into the top 100 of all things? Number 64, Synchronicity. You and your partner are just going through and just rowing a canoe to the end. You're just moving left and right on the joystick, and this rhythm is pretty easy to even replicate in the first place. Just an outright boring minigame that is just really hard to execute well in the first place, if I'm being honest here. Number 63, Hop-O-Matic 4000, an unfathomably slow minigame that is supposed to be reaction-based, however, it just turns into a gigantic drag in the end, because of just how slow everything goes. It could have been way better if it wanted to, however here, it just goes absolutely flat. And especially if you're with a computer player, they go extremely slow! It just turns into a gigantic drag, even though it didn't even need to be for this type of minigame. Number 62, Stratosphere! Yeah, despite the exaggerated name, it's not fearful at all. For the single player, it's easy for them to win. They just have to move up and down on the mushroom, and that's really it. the team of 3 is stupid, and they can lose really easily, even though they're on hard frickin' computers. Yeah, that's really the best way to describe this Mike minigame, and most of the Mike minigames in general, because of this alone. Number 61, Think Tank. This one is on a skill issue on my end, because tank controls, well actually there is no tank controls, and somehow they managed to screw it up. Because, well, the thing is, even if you're spanning at like God speed, you're likely not even gonna win because there's little places to hide on this map. And also just because it's just really easy for you to get overly targeted in a minigame like this. This one is just a skill issue on my end, and yeah, it just turned into a minigame that just becomes just not fun to play at all, just because of how overly skewed it is against anyone who even plays. Just be clear here. Number 60, Spin-Off. An annoying way to do an 8-player minigame here. It's just slots here, but at least you know how to time it. However here, it's also partially going to depend on how your partner even does in this minigame. And also you. Because there's just points where I just get confused on how long it takes for the slots to stop. Sometimes I think it's 3, sometimes I think it's 4. It just turns into an overly confusing mess of a minigame. And turns one into also is a gigantic slog because this minigame can last over a minute. And for a minigame like this, that is honestly kind of unacceptable. Just a gigantic slog of an 8-player minigame here. Number 59, Air Farce. It is an annoying way to do a battle minigame as well, because you're just trying to move your hang glider in a way that it goes the farthest out of all 3 of the players. It is very quick, yet very, very annoying to control. And it turns into an extremely way of just doing the same thing over and over and over again. The controls just feel a bit sloppy here, but it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's just not a minigame I'm willing to play at all just because of how annoying it is to play. Number 58, Easy Pickings. Guess what? This is another minigame that is skewed in the favor of the single player. This time, it's pretty much due to the things that each side is given. The single player is given a huge pickaxe that can take out rocks in 1 hit, while the team of 3 each gets 1 pickaxe each that does 3 hits. This ends up causing a complete imbalance for the single player, as they can easily go through most of the rocks, maybe if not all, which probably won't happen, but it could happen. Although, what's more likely to happen is draws. Yeah, you heard me right, draws! At like the last seconds, which is just sad to think that this minigame is draw bait, even though it doesn't intend on being so. Number 57, Spray Anything. How do I put this lightly? I would rather live in the country of Somalia than trying to learn the controls as the team of 3. Even though it's pretty skewed for the single player here, because they can easily dodge, like, all the projectiles. Like, it's actually pretty easy, somehow, despite how stressful it is being the single player. Yeah, that's probably the best way I could describe this minigame, just skewed. Again. Number 56, Rope-a-Dope. This is another example of a skill issue on my end, because I literally had to give myself a hand cap. Yes, I said that, right. Because this minigame was so annoying to the point I had to do that. Like, I had to make my computer hard and the others normal. Yeah, you see why I put this so low. And also, the middle platform is really hard to circumnavigate, like, in general. And, like, if you fall at any point there, that's gonna send you back a lot of progress. Like, it's a minigame that is just too punishing for how simple it's supposed to be. It just feels annoying, and a great reason why I had to give myself a handicap. A huge pain in the ass for a minigame like this. Number 55, Stump Change. It's a minigame that exists! Next! Okay, I'm joking. But yeah, this literally is the textbook example of the minigame that exists. All you're doing is just rolling on a barrel just to make sure that you're just trying to get bananas, and it just ends when there's no bananas left or the timer runs out. That's pretty much the whole minigame. Next! Number 54, Bananas Faster. Yep, once again, we're not even in the top 50 and we're already ending off the DK free-for-alls. This is the best out of them because it feels the most unique, because you're at least having to predict on if you'll get a banana or not. But yeah, for the most part, this is once again a minigame that exists, and it gets a bit annoying from this concept. But I'm putting it as the best because it's the one that stands out most, which is just really, really sad. Number 53, Royal Rumpus. All you're doing here is just stomping on Goombas for the whole time. Yeah, there is the Golden Goomba, which is there at like the final 5 seconds, I don't remember. But yeah, this is just a minigame that, for the most part, exists. even though I'm bad at it, I'm not going to hold that back against this minigame because it isn't a pain to play, but I'm just not good at it. But that's not going to hold against my ranking, just to be clear. But for the most part, this is just a minigame and that exists, and that's it. Number 52, Fish and Chips. You might be getting a bit tired of me saying that this minigame is down here because it's a minigame that exists, but I'm not joking. There are so many minigames in Mario Party 7 specifically that don't stand out to me at all because they're just so f***ing boring. Because they stand out in no way possible. You know what? I'm gonna make a mini section of minigames that to me that just exist. This is one of them, including the other 3 I just said. Number 51, Bridge Work. It's a minigame that exists. Number 50, Helipopper. It's a minigame that exists. Alright, onto minigames that actually exist. In a unique way. Number 49, A Bridge Too Short. Ironically, we are starting off with the first minigame that I reviewed for this Mario Party. Unlike Asteroid Rage, this one's alright. It's a kind of bit of a luck-based minigame, so you'd think I put it down really low. However, there's actually some strategy to this. You could decide to do is follow DK in the first round and hope that you can actually, try to go ahead of him by either getting on the bridge that is lucky or getting the bad one and going faster than him since DK is slow as ass. It's a nice level of doing a little bit of strategy for this minigame, and it makes it stand out more than Jumpman. Although I will consider that the last DK minigame that we're considering is actually pretty decent compared to any other DK minigame we've done so far. Which is so sad for a guy like DK. Number 48, Pyramid Scheme. And I'm sorry to say this, is a minigame that exists. Well, at least you and your partner are at least working together a bit to try to collect as many coins as you can. But for the most part, it's just a whatever minigame. There's no major obstacles except for how slow you go and the asinine way that the computers can move. Besides that, there's mostly nothing to this minigame. It's alright. It's nice to get coins, but besides that, I really don't have much to say on this minigame whatsoever. Including number 47, Buzzstormer. This is a minigame that tries to pass itself off as a racing minigame, but in reality actually isn't. Because if we're being clear here, the record system becomes really pointless when you realize that you can literally get the exact same time every single time if you avoid every single obstacle, which is actually really easy to do. Yeah, you're literally just doing the same thing every time, just going from flower after flower after flower. It's just a whatever minigame, and also, being a 2v2 feels a bit pointless because your partner pretty much just runs in sync with you most of the time, which is just not a great way to do a 2 versus 2. But hey, don't worry, you're not the worst version of this, Buzzstormer, because we'll get to one in Mario Party 5 that is worse. Ha! Number 46, Hammer Spammer. Once again, this is a minigame that kind of just is your generic survival minigame. It's actually really generic. You're just trying to avoid hammers, either ones that are being thrown at you by Hammer Bros or the big ones that are trying to crush you. Yeah, that's pretty much the entire minigame, and multiple teams can win. In this case, just like Take Me Home, which we will get to later. But for now, Hammer Spammer is just your generic survival minigame with shitty hitboxes. Look at this. That is just really sad, if we're being clear here in terms of hitboxes. Because these games are not really known for their good hitboxes, and this is probably the best example I could think of. Well, to my knowledge. Edit here from right after I recorded that audio. Actually, I can think of a worse example than Hammer Spammer in terms of hitboxes. Ever heard of Flip the Chimp from Mario Party 8? You probably have, because everyone hates that minigame. You know where I'm coming from? Number 45, Number Crunchers. This is a great example to me of an overhated minigame, because I see hate for this minigame everywhere. Mostly because it's skewed against the single player here. Actually, when I played this, it's actually pretty equal here. And I do like the creativity with what they did with the mic commands, because I'm gonna be honest here. This is really creative mic commands, because you're not just talking about the numbers here, which they did for Shoot Your Mouth Off, but you're also talking about the shapes of the platforms themselves. That's actually a pretty nice level of creativity. I'll give them props for that. It goes a bit towards my score. Not much, but it goes towards it. Yeah, I will say this is one of the better mic minigames out there, which is not saying much, but at least it's something. Number 44, Be My Chum. Get this? This is the best of the 1 versus 3 mic minigames, and we're not even halfway through. That is honestly embarrassing. But to be clear here, this is probably an alright minigame. It definitely works better than Wheel of Woe did, despite being a no time limit, and you can go batshit insane as a single player. But you're not guaranteed to win every single time, because if the team of 3 is coordinated enough, which is actually more common than you think, they can actually win a few times. But for the most part, this is just an alright minigame, and I'm glad we're going to be discontinuing these bike minigames. Well, with how many we have left, according to my ranking here, we're actually down to only 2. One of those being number 43, Clock Watchers. But yeah, this is just the exact same concept as, what was the minigame again? I forgot. It's like trying to get closest to 0. Oh yeah, Lunar Ticks. Just a weaker version of that. And especially since if you got a shorter time span, it's actually pretty easy. It feels a bit unfair for anyone who gets a shorter time. However, despite that though, this is an alright minigame and I have really no problems with it. It doesn't put any twists on this at all. The mic delay can be a bit annoying, but for the most part, it's just alright. After this, we only have 1 bike minigame and we're never doing these again! Yippee! And also, oh, we're halfway there! Oh, squidward on a chair! Bro, why the hell am I continuing to do this? It sucks as a joke! Number 42! Apes of Wrath. This is just an alright duel minigame for the most part. All you're just trying to do is just escape the wrath of the Yukikis, as the title says. You're just trying to avoid them from getting to you. Although Yukikis, there'll be more of them the longer this minigame goes on. The unfortunate thing is that the course never changes throughout the whole minigame, which does bring it down a bit, but that's not going to matter too much as this is just a whatever minigame for the most part. Number 41, Sphere Factor. This was the last minigame I ended up unlocking for Mario Party 7 and starting the whole reviews. Although, this one is a humongous pain in the ass because the computer players can act stupid. Like I'm telling you, they just drag the minigame down for you if you're just playing with computers. Play this with human computers if you actually want to have fun. You hear me? That's all I'll say on this. Although I will say a record system is not the most necessary thing, but it gives this minigame a bit of an advantage than it not having one. Although I would wish there was some actual course randomization. For the most part, it's an alright minigame.
Alright, one, I'm tired of the way you're treating my friends, okay? F you!
Honorable mention, Ice Moves. Last time I didn't include the rare minigames because I didn't have enough experience with them to really give a proper ranking on them. Here, I can actually give some actual thoughts and I've had actual experience with them. Here, Ice Move just feels like the Walmart-ass version of air hockey to me. If you want to play air hockey, just play real-life air hockey. That's all I'll say about this here. I'm just adding this because I just wanted to include these. They're not part of the actual ranking, but they're just here for honorable mention sakes. So yeah, we'll get to Stick and Sit in a bit, but for now, number 40, Cartwheeled. This is your racing minigame of Mario Party 7. You and the other 3 players are just trying to make 5 laps around a figure 8 in a go-kart. Although I will say the controls are really fast for this minigame, and a bit hard to get used to, but once you get used to them, they're a fun time. And the record system gives us a bit of intensity. But besides that, this minigame just kind of exists in some remark. I do wish there was a bit more course randomization, but a figure 8 doesn't really hurt all that much. Although I will say, the camera is just stupid with how it moves. Like, Slot Car Derby has an alright camera movement. Here, it's just going all over the place and it just feels really distracting. Unlike number 39, Oil Crisis. Because, well, you're just moving horizontally. But yeah, I'm gonna say Oil Crisis to me is the best mic minigame out of any of the Mario parties. Yeah, both of the ones we've done. Because I'll at least say there is some factors to this minigame. You're just trying to make sure that you just get to the end, while also just trying to get all the oil buckets. Also, there's these puddles. You can try to use these mushrooms to the single mushroom you're given, just to make sure that you just don't get out immediately. Although I will say, besides that, this minigame's just fine. It's just nothing really special to me. And thankfully, we're done with the mic minigames! Let's fucking go! Woo!
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Number 38, Vine Country. Between all the DK minigames, solo and multiplayer, this is the best of them. You're just simply doing button mashing for the whole minigame while trying to just avoid obstacles. It's kind of easy, but at least the obstacles come down pretty fastly. Yeah, it's just a nice way of just doing a reaction-based minigame, unlike future minigames we'll get to later. But yeah, for the most part, this is an alright minigame. I wouldn't mind playing it, and just gives the most uniqueness compared to any other DK minigame out there, which is just really, really sad. At least we got one to the halfway mark, am I right? Number 37, Cardinal Roll. This is a 2 versus 2 minigame where you and your partner are both trying to ground pound 2 matching cards. The thing is that the cards are actually flipped on their side. Well, not flipped over, but actually showing the picture. So it just leads to a lot more intensity of you and the other players are trying to fight to get it. It's a bit confusing at points, and it kind of feels a bit redundant as a 2 versus 2, and it could have worked a bit better as a single player minigame. I mean, free-for-all. But for the most part, this is just an alright minigame of you and your partner trying to coordinate. It kind of fails at the coordination part, but for the most part, it's just alright. This one was actually pretty conflicting on my end because I didn't know if I should put it in the 3 or the 4. I decided to put it in the high 3 just because of that alone. Number 36, Pokey Pummel. It's a button masher. Although I will say this, it's a bit satisfying to see the Pokies come down one at a time, and also the record system. It gives a lot of intensity into this minigame, and especially since this minigame is pretty quick, unlike other minigames that try to do this. But yeah, this is probably one of the better button mashers out there. It's that's literally the whole minigame, just a button masher and nothing else. But at least the record system and the indication give it a bit of an advantage compared to most button mashers. Number 35, Target Tag. You and the other 3 players are just moving around, just trying to get points on targets. There is the Bowser ones that make you lose all your points. But for the most part, this minigame is just quick and just trying to get the most points in that short amount of 15 seconds. But yeah, if you just want to play this minigame proper, just play Surf Toys Up from Mario Party 8. It's better than this. And yeah, this is just a whatever version of that, and it came before it, which just kind of gives this one a bit of a disadvantage in some remarks. It's just a bit flavorless, if you ask me. Number 34, Duck and Cover. It's a button masher, but it's a bit of a unique one, because you don't know which buttons you're gonna get at first. You might get, like, B, X, or R, or A, L, or Y, or whatever Evan Rosman said. What did he say before? Well, just put the comment on there for anyone there. There's also multiple strategies, like when you have to move, and yeah, all that type of stuff. Although I will say the problem is that you losing could be pretty much out of your control, as your computer player could probably not even be fast enough, which is just so annoying to think. And hey, there's another minigame that has this exact same problem. We'll get to that in about 10 ranking. Number 33, Give Me a Sign. This is just a Shy Guy Says clone, and I wanted to like it so badly. But there is one thing that's holding it back. This minigame is pure draw bait. Yeah, have you seen my review on Mullet? Of just how it's common to tie in night mode? This is that, but on drugs. Or steroids, if you want to be clear. But yeah, this is just a great example of that. Just worse, because it gets faster and faster the more it goes, and like around the last 5 seconds, it's really easy for a tie to happen. It just feels so annoying, because it means the duel's pretty much for absolutely nothing. Well, if the player who won even got anything out of it because of the broken mechanics in this duel minigame. It just holds this minigame back so much, and it just makes it going as the last entry in the 3-star category much more painful. Number 32, Hip Hop Drop. Another duel minigame. Anyways, this one is reaction-based, and unlike Hop-O-Matic 4000, this one works for me, because you're just trying to hit the buttons as fast as you can, and actually, I got the maximum record here, which unfortunately does make the record system a tad pointless, but not too much, because that's actually pretty hard to do, because there's a potential misinput on your end, where you just go a bit slower than usual. But also, here's one thing to let you know here. If you have both 2 human players playing this minigame, and one of them messes up while the other doesn't, it's guaranteed that that person who messed up just won't be able to come back from that, which is just very annoying. And also, if both players end up getting to the end, I think there's the problem of the randomly picking a winner thing, but that is a whole new level of rare. However, I will say, this minigame feels a bit unfair in some aspects, but is pretty balanced in others. Yeah, exactly what I mean. Number 31, Snow Ride. This time it's just trying to get to the end and avoiding obstacles. And yeah, it's pretty much the same every single time, if I'm being clear. Although I will say, the record system gives this one a bit of an upper advantage. You're about to notice a theme here where the record system really gives these minigames a boost. But yeah, for the most part, besides that, this minigame is just nice and decent. That's because it's a nice competitive race the whole time, despite no course randomization. But yeah, it just gives this minigame, just feels unique every single time despite that. Although I will say, I just wish there was a bit more challenge, like different obstacles besides just pipes and blocks, like roadblocks. Besides that, this minigame's decent. Number 30, World Peace. Another 2 versus 2 minigame where you're just trying to work with each other to try to match things. Unlike Cardinal Roll, this one has actually got some actual coordination, because it's just trying to fit pieces into a puzzle. Pretty much that's the whole minigame, 3 times, that is. But yeah, there are some things that make this more complicated though, is the fact that some pieces can look different than they actually do, and it makes you think a bit more than normally, like the cross puzzle or the L. Because yeah, that's a bit more thinking than what you would actually expect. Although it's pretty much just simply your pixel perfect clone, but just really watered down. But besides that, it's still a pixel perfect clone, so that means it's still decent. Number 29, Balloonatic. Surprisingly, this and another minigame, someone managed to do pretty good for the 1 versus 3 minigame category. But yeah, this one is just involving the single player just trying to avoid the arsenal of the team of 3. Just trying to shoot cannonballs to pop the balloons that are holding you up in the sky. This one is stressful, I'm gonna tell you right now. The practice round before the footage you're seeing here, I was like screaming. Like, it was that stressful for me. But yeah, it just feels so tense, and honestly I saw like an even amount of wins on each side. I'm not joking, that's pretty nice to see from a minigame like this. Although, if I had to choose which side had the advantage, I think I'd say the single player here a tad bit, because the aim could be a bit bad for the team of 3 since it's a bit hard to predict where the single player is actually going. Number 28, Thunderwall. Well, here we go. We are on to the Bowser multiplayer minigames. Yeah, we're in the top 30 and this is the first one we've gotten to. That shows you how good these are. So for the first one here, I'll say this. It's a pretty nice survival minigame for the most part, although I think it's a bit too hard for its difficulty because, well, like the Bowser, the Koopa kids, I mean, are just go a bit unpredictable at points, and the hitboxes can be a bit off at points. Not to the point of hammer spammer levels of bad, but still kind of rough. And also, it just kind of gets easy with memorization because this minigame is actually really easy to memorize, just like the other 2, but this here, I feel like it's just a bit too hard and holds down a bit more than the other 2. Number 27, Grin and Bar It. This is your hot rope jump of Mario Party 7. Here in this case though, it's 8 players and the jump rope actually is curved that the players on the left have to go first and the players on the right have to go last. So you can't really go all at once here, unlike hot rope jump. Although I will say it's a bit of a Walmart version of that because here, it only goes faster and not faster and slower in a pattern. I just missed that from Hot Rope Jump. Here, it just forces a winner, kind of, like after like 30 seconds, because you're just getting too good at it. That just feels like a bit of a BS move on my end, and it just kind of just bonks this minigame down a peg because of that alone. But yeah, I just wish it kind of went Hot Rope Jump style here and actually just get faster and slower and faster and slower. I would have liked that a lot. It just make the minigame feel more memorable compared to what we actually have. Number 26, Unhappy Trails. Remember what I said about the computer problem in Duck and Cover? Yeah, this applies to this minigame as well. Because it's like a triathlon or quadrathon, in a sense, it means that any slip-up can really set you down. Like, especially if it's your computer player. Like, I'm telling you, I lost the first round of recording just because of that alone. And it kind of led to me rushing a bit. Yeah, it was kind of a mixture of both of those in one remark, which kind of feels a bit upsetting, knowing that the computer player can cause you to lose. Although, for the most part, this is a nice way of doing co-op, especially since the patterns are, the trails are never the same each time. which gives this minigame a lot of customization that other minigames don't have. Number 25, Herbicidal Maniac. Oh yes, the minigame that I screamed bloody murder at Toad at for losing at such an embarrassing way. But yeah, this is another example of a 2 versus 2 minigame where the computer players can be a pain in the ass. But yeah, here, it's a shooter minigame of trying to just shoot down piranha plants. Yeah, you have to do so and clear your course 3 times to win. And that's pretty much the whole minigame. It's a bit easy, yet it's pretty nice to do so. And especially to avoid those spiny things that can spawn in multiple piranha plants. But yeah, like I just said, the computer players are complete shit. Number 24, Wait For It. This is our duel minigame where you're just trying to make sure that you don't have anything in your space. Well, the least in your space. You're just hitting the Google Chrome logos and just around the course for 15 seconds and just hoping that you don't lose. Although you do have a decent amount of control of where the Google Chrome logos do go because of the bouncing factor, and yeah, there's a lot more to that, especially with the counteracts that the other player can do. Here's a piece of advice. Don't go for the middle one immediately, that's just gonna waste time. It's better to just go after that. Number 23, Pogo Go-Go. This is another one of those single player assaulting the team of 3 type of minigames. But here, the single player is just trying to make sure that the team of 3 does not survive the whole 30 seconds on the platform by just rotating the platform that has holes in it, while the team of 3 is just on pogo sticks. But yeah, there's a lot of factors to this minigame, especially with the rotating platform. Like, you have to predict in, like, future ahead if the single player is going to move left or right. Although I will say the single player does have a bit of an advantage here, although that really isn't too much of a problem because it's actually fairly balanced if you think about it. But yeah, the best of the 1 versus 3 minigames, but sadly didn't reach the top 20. Number 22, Camp Yukiki. Another one of those racing minigames that is a duel minigame. Although I want to say this right now, that the perspective on this minigame is just not a good look for this minigame at all, especially since it can be a bit hard to get used to. Especially since the course is also never changed at all. Although, I don't mind that too much for the actual level of challenge in this minigame, and it feels pretty unique every single time, despite the lack of course randomization. If there was, I would have put this minigame at least in the top 20, but yeah, this minigame is just a good minigame, just trying to get to the end, and that's all I can really say about this minigame. Number 21, Bob-Omb Plague, currently on track to become my most viewed review ever. This minigame is really good. It's just trying to pass the Bob-Omb to other players, and whoever's in the blast radius when the Bob-Omb explodes is out. Yeah, it's a bit of a reinvention on Hot Bob-Omb in some sort of way. Instead of it being the single player, it's in the blast radius. Yeah, it gives this minigame a lot more unpredictability, and just trying to make sure you actually use the Bob-Ombs, like, fuse correctly, like, when it goes off, like the indication here. You can see that I did that, and in some ways, it varied on if it succeeded or not. This is a really good minigame for that alone, and it gives this minigame a lot more spice. Number 20, Track and Yield. Just trying to jump over hurdles that are either regular or electric for the whole 30 seconds until the minigame is over. Yeah, it's morely just, you could have multiple winners in this minigame, to be clear. But yeah, it gets harder and harder the more it goes on as it speeds up every 5 seconds, I think? I don't remember the pattern, yeah. But I will say, it's nice to see some, like, customization with the hurdles, because obviously there is going to be in a minigame like this. And especially since it gets harder. It feels really tense by the end, and you're just trying to struggle. You're just trying to stay on. Why did I say it like that? But yeah, this is a really nice minigame. Not much, but a really nice minigame overall. Number 19, Spin Doctor. It's a duel minigame, and here, it's a maze to try to get to the end, either with rotating platforms that move in all 4 directions, or ones that move in only 3 directions. You gotta be careful with the 3-direction ones, because you don't know if it's going to send you down the right path or not. You gotta be pretty careful in that case. It can feel like a bit of a dent in your route, although this minigame feels nice and just trying to plan out where you're supposed to go. Although the draw thing I mentioned from Mass Meteor and Hip Hop Drop can apply here, but the chances of that are really rare if we're gonna be clear here. A nice simple maze minigame. Number 18, Give Me a Break. This is the type of minigame where you're just trying to stop before you hit the edge type of minigame. Like, it's been done multiple times in Wii Party, and actually more times in the Mario Party franchise. We'll see in Mario Party Island Tour and Jamboree, and are there any other examples? I don't think so. But yeah, although I will say, the water and the ice levels do affect your performance. Thank you for pointing that out, Evan Rosman. Thank you very much. But yeah, besides that, this is just your simplistic minigame of trying to stop to the edge, and I still can't stress enough of how good those actually are. Number 17, Magical Journey. On the theme of just trying to get to the end while avoiding the Koopa Kids' attacks. This is another example of that. Because in this minigame, you're just trying to get on platforms and get to the end, although Koopa Kids are going to be firing at you. This is probably the easiest of the 3 Bowser multiplayer minigames, although there's one thing you need to really pay attention to. There is an invisible wall that if you go too far, you're probably just going to fall off even before you reach the next platform, even if you're going in the right trajectory, just to let you know. That's the only advice I can really give on this minigame. It's just simply just trying to get to the end, although the computer players can really screw up your game. Number 16, Spider Stop. Here, you and your partner are both just trying to shoot what are the name of those again? Come on, why am I forgetting? Yeah, you're just trying to shoot the spider creatures, the snort bottle. What are they even called? Just put the comment on there. But yeah, you're just trying to do that for 3 separate levels, and then eventually at the final, there's a gigantic boss that takes multiple hits. Yeah, the webs are also pretty important to take note of, and especially with that, plus you and accidentally friendly firing, there's a lot of factors to this minigame, which makes it pretty unique as a minigame as a whole. Pretty nice minigame, and I wish it made it into Superstars or Jamboree, actually. It's really good. Number 15, Real Smoothie. Once again, another reaction-based minigame, but this time in the 8-player base. Yeah, this player on the left has to collect oranges, while the other on the right has to collect strawberries. Either pressing L or R if they're on the left or the right. But yeah, this is a minigame where you have to really pay attention to what's actually in the center, because you don't want to accidentally grab the wrong fruit and slow you guys down. But yeah, this minigame can get really good if you're in an actual rhythm, because this minigame is just like one of those reaction-based minigames. Pretty good, and that's all I have to say. Taking the silver medal for the 8-player minigames as a whole. Number 14, Tile and Air, a 2 versus 2 minigame where you and your partner are both just trying to get the most of your color on the platform, either red or blue, depending on which team you're on. Yeah, whichever does that in the 30 seconds time span or gets the most wins. But yeah, this minigame also partially is fighting based because you can actually knock other players off the platform. Although the big problem I think that comes with this minigame is the fact that the amount of tiles is even numbered instead of odd numbered, because in this case a draw can actually happen. Although I do understand why they decided to do it even, because the beginning of the minigame will actually be fair, but it also created this problem as well, which is a bit sad. Number 13, Shock Absorbers. Well, here we are, the best of the 8-player minigames. This minigame is also reaction-based, but once again, it gets faster and faster the minigame goes, as it's kind of a bit of a Simon Says type minigame, where you're just trying to punch the left, the right, the up, or just duck. But yeah, this minigame is just that, just until it just goes faster and faster and faster until there's one person left or one team left. That's all I can say on this minigame. Next! Number 12, Battery Ram. Your typical moving a couch into a living room minigame. Yeah, it's that. But yeah, here, you're just trying to get through a whole maze to just get a battery to a rocket ship, I assume that is. But yeah, it's a 2 versus 2 minigame for that alone. And yeah, it's a really nice cooperation minigame. It gets really tense at a lot of points, especially when the specific movements that each player has to do to get to the end. The computer players can be a bit annoying, but this minigame is harmless besides that. Although I wish there was a bit more course randomization here. The record system gives it an upper hand, though. Number 11, Mad Props. You and your opponent are just trying to get to the end of a maze with the jet propulsion of a submarine-like vehicle, just trying to get to the end as quickly as you can. Although the controls are a bit different here. The propellers are actually on the opposite side, because the L button will actually make you move left, and the R button will make you move right. But the movement here is a bit more unpredictable than you actually think. You can actually press both to move faster. It makes the minigame feel a lot more on that, and also the way how the courses actually works. although I wish there was a bit of course randomization, but I don't mind that here with the different controls. A pretty good minigame, and just barely avoids the top 10. Shame. Number 10, Funsticle Course. Starting off our top 10 is our last Bowser minigame. Here, it's an obstacle course, as you could tell from the name. And once again, it's pretty much the same as the other Bowser multiplayer minigames, but this one gives the most unique character to it. What I mean by that is that there's lots of obstacles, including thwomps, a construction site-like maze. There's also up and down platforms, heavy, really fast-moving skews, and fireballs at the end, which actually are the hardest part to me, if I'm gonna be honest here. You gotta be really hard on what you do, because you could potentially lose all your coins if you lose. Yeah, at any point. But yeah, that's the common punishment for this minigame. But yeah, a really good minigame and deserves top 10 worthy, especially since none of the Bowser minigames last Mario Party even cracked top 40. Number 9, Ghosts in the Hall, a maze minigame where you don't know where you're going. Yeah, in this case, it's just pretty much just a mystery of where you're going. You have to make sure you go through specific pathways to get to the end. However, there is a problem. You probably don't know where you're actually going because there's no form of maze. But in this case though, if you memorize it enough though, you can actually get there kind of easily. But it depends on the randomization with the traps that want to have you get there quickly or not. Yeah, this gives this minigame the most amount of unique flavor to it, especially with how competitive it is, especially when you don't know where you're going, which gives this minigame a lot more creativity than it actually could have been. Number 8, Spinner Cell. Wait, what did I say about Pogo Go-Go being the best of the 1v3 minigames? I take that back. This is the best. And funny enough, it got into the top 10! Ha! Yeah, I'm surprised that this got into the top 10. I thought there wouldn't be any form of 1 vs 3 minigames that could reach that. Well, I'm proven wrong with this minigame. The single player is just trying to assault the team of 3 once again, this time with 2 blades, one that is used to stun and one that is used to get out of the minigame entirely. But yeah, this minigame has a lot of creativity on the single player's end, as they really need to figure out how they can actually just try to get them out in the 30 seconds. It's a really even-based minigame where a lot of wins are pretty equal. It also depends on what they actually do, if the team of 3 is coordinated and if the single player is coordinated. It's a really good minigame, and I was really verging if I should give this the 4 or the 5. I decided to just barely give it the 4 because it could be a bit unfair for the 3, as it can be pretty easy to dodge the stunning spike, which is a bit sad, but still a really good minigame. Number 7, Big Dripper. Probably weren't expecting this minigame to get so high. I never hear anyone talk about this minigame at all. Here, the other 3 players, are trying to get as much honey drops into your jar as you can in the 30 seconds, with the drop puddles that are on the floor for indication. And also, there will be bees that will be swarming at you once every bit. They have to duck in that case. Although the minigame can be pretty generous because of the fact that you can still get droplets even though you're still ducking if you're under a puddle that has a drop that's coming. But yeah, this minigame is really good for that alone. It leaves a lot of strategic playing in a lot of formats with the fake outs. Yeah, I just wish people talked about this minigame more. It's really good. And funny enough, the last minigame in the 4-star category, which honestly, for the amount of minigames in this Mario Party, is f***ing embarrassing. Number 6, Catchy Tunes. This is about collecting things, specifically music notes, one of each though, that is given to you. You just have to try to collect one of each before the other players do, and that's how this minigame is over. But yeah, although there's one thing though, the thing is that it's about the simple concept, but just making it really chaos. Because in a case like this, you can actually try to collect notes that you haven't already collected to make sure that the other players can't get them, which is actually pretty badass in some cases. It's just one of those simplistic concepts, but just going to the extreme mode. But yeah, I like those types of minigames because they give this minigame a bit more spice than it actually could have been. It's kind of like note to self in some form of way, but it's just morally just trying to collect things before others instead of just point-based. Number 5, Take Me Home. For the collaboration minigame, yeah, this one was great for an example here. It's a survival minigame that involves you just trying to jump over electrical wires that are brought over by thwomps. You just have to survive the 30 seconds, yet it gets more intense as the minigame goes on, as there could be multiple wires at once. Thankfully, there could be multiple winners in this minigame, because of course you'd expect that from a survival minigame. But yeah, this minigame just is very intense the longer it goes on, and I like that. It's just like Catchy Tunes, it's just a simplistic concept, but just going to the extreme. Like, I really like those minigames a lot here. But yeah, not really much else because it's a simple survival minigame. But yeah, it's great. Just simply great. Earning the top 5 status, as well as our other honorable mention, going to Stick and Spin. I wanted to include this one in the ranking video so badly, as you remember from the Rare Minigames review. But yeah, this minigame is a puzzle minigame for this Mario Party. It's Blockstar, but a lot better here, because you at least know what to do from the very start, just trying to match 5 of each piece. But yeah, it's pretty much just trying to make sure that you get enough of that, just to move on to the next level. Like, the more you go on, like, the more different it gets to. Like, they add different things, like green marbles, purple ones, indigo. There's also, like, numbers and clear ones, and also they go faster in different sizes. It gets really unique the more you go on. Like, the footage you see here, I went on for 13 minutes. Yeah, this is an honorable mention, and not through the actual ranking. But yeah, if it were on the ranking, it would go here. Number 4, picture this. This is a bit like Memory Lane from last Mario Party. Here, you're just trying to match up what is given to you. You're just trying to flip through pages and just making sure that you actually get to the one that is as the result here you see. Although, there is a bit of a problem that if you get to one page, you might have to go all the way back for the next one, while someone could already be there. Like, you can see that is a bit of an unfair thing against this minigame. However, here, with the amount of strategy that goes into this minigame, it's well more than worth it. This is like the only minigame I think that any form of mashing can be acceptable, and that's a rarity on my end. Number 3, Fun Run. Here we go, the one that probably everyone has been waiting for. A lot of people's favorites in this Mario Party, and I 100% agree. Yeah, this minigame is a race to the end of a various obstacle course filled with spinies, ones that either stay still or move. There's also traps that can fall, and also pistons, which actually can screw you over if you're not careful. And actually, I like that somehow, because like they can really get in the way, and it provides an intense challenge. The record system just makes it all the more better. The course randomization here, there isn't really any, but I really don't mind it for a minigame like this. This is a minigame where you could just play it over and over and over again just to make sure you get your record, and it never gets old every single time. Easily podium worthy. Number 2, we're down to just 2 minigames. Funny enough, they're both battle minigames, and the record for this Mario Party, besides those 2, were actually pretty bad. Besides these 2, yeah, it just wasn't good. Except for the 2 I'm about to mention. One of these being the final countdown for number 2. This minigame is about you and the other 3 players just trying to stay on a platform for the longest amount of time. There are various tiles that range from 1 to 9, and you need to make sure that you're not on the ones that reach 0, or else you'll just fall through them. You can also punch other players off. It's a fighting minigame as well. But yeah, the number tiles give a lot more strategy to this minigame than it would be on a regular platform. Like, I like that a lot, and it just gives this minigame a lot of flavor. Like, especially since you can pull some really badass moves if you really know what you're doing. But yeah, this is a great minigame, which leaves our number 1 to go to Monty's Revenge. This minigame honestly just earned it for me, because it's literally reverse whack-a-mole. Instead of you whacking the moles, you're the mole itself. You're just trying to make sure that you stay out of the holes for as long as possible while your head up there. And you need to make sure that you don't get hit by the Monty Moles' hammer, or else you'll be stunned for a few seconds and may potentially lose. This minigame can get very intense, especially with human players or hard computers. It's an amazing minigame, and it competes with some of Mario Party 6's best, like Snow World and What Goes Up. Good job, Monty's Revenge. You earned your placement, my sir. Well, we have done it! We have completed another Mario Party! Yippee! Well, yeah, I will say, Mario Party 7 to me is a really good Mario Party as a whole. I don't think it's as good as Mario Party 6 because of the weaker boards and especially the weaker minigames. Heck, I will have a whole segment at the end that specifically goes the averages between both Mario Party 6 and 7 that we both have done for all the minigames. But yeah, I will say that this was still a really good Mario Party despite the weaker minigames and the way more boringness than there was usually. I do want to say that for when I'm doing the next Mario Party, I will consider that, no, I'm not doing it for a while, because honestly at this rate, I'm just getting burnt out on doing them, because I'm just doing them so much, and especially since I'm not letting my other content breathe because of it. Because there's My Country About Plus show, which I honestly think is way underappreciated than it actually is getting. It's getting mostly no appreciation because of how much effort actually goes into it. And BFB Viewer Voting 3 show, the reason why I had to put them out 4 days at once is because to just make sure that I gotta get the episodes out on time and not wait too long. Here, I want to give more time to those for the next few months. When I start the next Mario Party, it'll definitely be this year, yeah, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it'll be till like May, which is actually, I'm gonna probably do it on the 6-year anniversary of the channel, which is May 16th. Yeah, that is probably the latest it could possibly be, but it also could be earlier. But also, I'm gonna be putting a community poll for you guys to vote on 4 Mario Parties that I decided to choose, and you guys are gonna vote on which one I think I should do next. I'm keeping it a surprise until after the premiere of this hour-long video. Yep, the first video here that is not a compilation, that's an hour. Ridiculous. I never thought I'd get to this point. Well, I guess I'll see whatever content I do next. Or the poll, that is. Well, hope to see you then, in the words of Mushroom Fortress. Joy.